What's up, guys? I want to talk about who Jesus hangs out with and who he hung out with during his ministry. And although we only have a tiny portion of what Jesus did during his life in the scriptures, we do have enough to get a very good feel of who he spent his time with. Now, I think if we were to sit back and think, like, who's Jesus going to come talk to when he comes back? And it'd be easy to think like he's going to come back to maybe the temple in Jerusalem, and he's going to meet with the leaders, the leaders of the church, or maybe the leaders of Rome, or however he's going to do this. It seems like he's going to come in big. You know, he's going to come in and he's going to meet with the bosses, and he's going to throw the smack down. But he didn't. He started his ministry with the woman at the well. And I think this is so fascinating because I don't think that's a mistake. Jesus' ministry begins with the woman at the well. Jesus is going to save the lives and suffer for the sins and all this, everything that he does in his life. And it's all going to happen, and it begins with the woman at the well. What is Jesus trying to teach us by beginning his ministry with the woman at the well? And I think that it's so fascinating that we have record of this. And luckily, John spends quite a bit of time talking about this because I think it's extremely important. This is how his ministry starts. Jesus could start his ministry doing any number of things, right? He could have done any number of miracles. He could have done miracles in the temple in Jerusalem in front of the leadership, and he could have done anything. Instead, he goes to this woman at the well. Jesus is by himself. The woman comes up to the well. She's by herself. It's quiet. They're the only ones around. And the more we learn about her, she'd been married a bunch of times. She was living with someone else. First of all, she lives in Samaria, which is somewhere that the Jews, they would go far around Samaria before they would go through it. They didn't like the Samaritans, the people. They're the enemies. They were dirty. So this woman, she's by herself. There's one of them. There's one of her. She's the wrong ethnicity. She's the wrong gender. She's the wrong, probably say she's not clean from her lifestyle. It's not someone that you would think that the religious people are hanging out with. It's definitely the wrong place in Samaria. Jesus starts there. Jesus starts with one person who is rejected by society. And he starts with the one. And he spends time with her and teaches her and talks to her. One person viewed by society as not at all being worthy to be with Jesus. So much of the population would probably have viewed this woman as not being worthy to be with them in their presence. And now the Son of God starts his ministry with the woman at the well. He tells the woman at the well who he is, that he is the Son of God, and he starts his ministry with this woman. Could have been any other way. Could have been huge miracles, floods, lightning, the sun stopping in the sky, new stars appearing. Nope. One woman in the quiet at the well, and it's just fascinating that Jesus starts off like this. But he starts off like this. He definitely doesn't end like that. He continues his ministry. He hangs out with the tax collectors and the sinners and the people who have been rejected by society, the adulterers, people who are ignored, cast aside, unclean, whether unclean physically or unclean spiritually, people who maybe haven't lived a life to make them clean enough to be with society. They're good enough for Jesus. And I love that so much. So you have these years where Jesus is with hanging out with anybody, especially those who society wouldn't think he would be hanging out with, even up until he is on the cross. I had another verse there, and apparently I didn't read it. But there's like all of John 4 is pretty much on the woman at the well, so it's fantastic. Anyway, going to Luke. I love this. And when they were come to the place which was called Calvary, there they crucified him. And the malefactors, one on the right and the other on the left. And then in 34 here, and said Jesus on the cross. He's on the cross. People are killing him. They're mocking him. They're splitting up his clothes, spitting on him, making fun of him for being the king of the Jews, making fun of him, mocking him for who he really is, this person. And they're not seeing it. And Jesus says, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he says this about the people who are murdering him and mocking him while Jesus is dying and suffering for their sins. Jesus loves those people so much that are killing him that he's asking the Father to forgive them while they are murdering him. That is amazing. And I think this is so important because so many times in life I encounter so many people who just think like, you know, I've done this in my life, or I've done that, or I'm not clean enough, or I'm not good enough, or I didn't go to church, or I didn't say my prayers, or I haven't prayed in 8 years, and whatever it is, like, you know, I'm not worthy because I've been doing these things. I think you are. I think that's why Jesus came. He came down for people like you. He came down for people like me who aren't worthy, who maybe society thinks that people aren't worthy enough to be with Jesus. And yeah, I don't think probably anyone is. But that's who Jesus came here for. Jesus came to show a better way and a better path for those of us who are the sinners, who are unclean, who are like the woman at the well, or any number of countless people who are sick or afflicted or injured or whatever. He came for these people. He came for you. He came for me. And if you're feeling like you've lived your life outside of the grace of Jesus Christ, you're wrong. You're wrong. That's all I got to say is you're wrong. Because no one is. And if Jesus is asking for forgiveness for the people who crucified the Son of God and murdered him, I'm guessing whatever is in your life probably can't compete with that. Jesus came here for all of us. He loves all of us, and I just love that we can learn so much about him from how he lived his life and who he hung out with. I love it.